A routine stop turns dangerous. What this officer said to the man behind the wheel to get him to stop dragging him and save his own life.
Plus, some schools are getting more money than others per student. What a new study reveals just ahead.
Also coming up, residents in tears. The timber on fire destroys dozens of homes and hundreds of acres. The latest on the firefight this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Krista Gutierrez. As you wake up this morning, a new tactical team is set to take over the timber on fire, which already has 11 different crews, including air tankers, fighting the blaze.
And that fire is still at 0% containment. It's already burned through nearly 300 acres, forcing many people from their homes. News 13's Sarah Yingling has the latest on that fire this morning. Sarah?
Adam, the timber on fire has already destroyed 60 structures just south of Cloudcroft. More than half of those structures damaged in the inferno are homes. And as you can imagine, many people are heartbroken.
What do? I have no home up there. We've got to replace it, I hope.
Teresa Pinter not only lost her home, she lost her dogs. She's just one of the residents whose home fell victim to that fire that is tearing through the town of Tiburon. There are also a number of evacuees staying at a Red Cross shelter set up at the Cloudcroft High School gym. There's also an animal shelter set up at the Otero County Fairgrounds in Alamogordo. Yesterday, Governor Susana Martinez was given a tour of the fire area. During her press conference, Governor Martinez stressed the importance of getting out of danger, even if that means leaving your home behind.
Don't stay behind, because then you're going to jeopardize the life of the person who's going to have to go in and rescue you.
As of right now, no injuries have been reported. Officials say a fire line consisting of a hand line and a bulldozer line is holding up well. Crews will continue to work on this fire line, but there is still an active fire within the perimeter as well as spot fires. Adam?
All right, thanks, Sarah. And do stay with KRQE News 13 and the KRQE News app. We'll have the latest on the fire burning in Tiburon as new developments come in.
And of course, the big question this morning is, will the weather help or hurt the fight there in Tiburon?
And you said there is a little bit better humidity level.
Yeah, today is going to be a better day compared to what we dealt with yesterday. So let's go ahead and break down the currents this morning. 75 degrees. As far as the winds go, crews right now looking at a northwest wind about 9 miles per hour. Not bad, but those winds will pretty much stay between about 5 to 15 today. Not as strong as what we had yesterday afternoon in and around Tiburon. So we're going to be watching this humidity value too. 31%. There is a slight chance of a few spot storms in and around the Sacramento Mountains. That's something we'll have to watch, because although we could definitely use some rain in that area, we'll have to really closely watch the winds, and that's going to be a big concern. Some of those winds in and around the storms that develop out across the east. Even this morning, we have some of those showers still lingering out towards Quay County and even DeBaca County, even down to the south and far northern Lee County. Although most of these showers and storms are fading out on us this morning, we've got another round on tap for this afternoon. Temperatures across the state: 59 in Las Vegas. We have more of those 70s as you get into the southeastern plains. 72 in Albuquerque, 50s up in Farmington, Durango, Alamosa, and Cortez in the 40s. So another hot afternoon, but like I said, more storms in the forecast for the east. I'll break down what we know, including your weekend forecast coming up.
All right, thanks so much, Kristen. And we turn to new video just into our newsroom. Take a look at this. It shows the aftermath of a shocking terrorist attack in Nice, France. At least 80 people are dead this morning after a white van barreled into crowds celebrating Bastille Day. Among the dead, 2 Americans. New cell phone video shows what happened next between police and the driver of that van, who was shot and killed by officers. Take a listen. Forensic teams in Nice examining that bullet-riddled white truck overnight. CBS News sources have identified the driver as Mohammed Bahoel. He's the man authorities say mowed down dozens of people celebrating Bastille Day just hours before eyewitnesses captured the truck picking up speed as it barreled down that street. Hours after the attack, France's president declaring terror had hit the country once again. He has extended a state of emergency and plans to mobilize troops to bolster security there. President Obama also condemned the attack that hits close to home for some after learning 2 Americans are among the dead. The father and son are from Texas. French officials are now looking into who else may have played a role in this. So far, no group has claimed responsibility.
The Grant County District Attorney is not facing any charges this morning after she was seen in video swerving on the highway. And we're also hearing from the police chief, who admits that his officers should have tested her. A witness caught Francesca Estevez on camera driving erratically and called 911. Silver City police thought something wasn't right, but in this video, they're friendly with her.
I did vote for you.
Oh, thank you. One of the few officers.
Thank you, Woods.
And they let Estevez go. No field sobriety tests. Silver City Police Chief Ed Reynolds tells News 13 that his officers, quote, screwed up and said, quote, we failed to do our jobs. He says no charges will be filed against Estevez for impaired driving because his officers dropped the ball.
On to news happening today. You can bring a new furry friend home from Animal Humane for only a fraction of the adoption fees. This weekend, all animals over 5 months will be available to take home for $5. Each new pet will be spayed or neutered, microchipped, and vaccinated. The pets at the East and West Side shelters, as well as Lucky Paws, are all eligible for this deal.
A wanted New Mexico sex offender no longer on the streets today. State police say 35-year-old Jeremy Baldwin killed himself near Glorieta yesterday. They say Baldwin had 2 warrants out for his arrest. APD says they tried to approach him Wednesday at an apartment complex in the Heights, but Baldwin rammed their cars and took off on I-25. State police took over the chase after he left the city. Officers say that he barricaded himself in his SUV at the Glorieta exit and hours later killed himself.
On to news only at 6. A new study revealing vague New Mexico laws shows charter schools are getting more money per child than public schools do. According to the Santa Fe New Mexican, state lawmakers released the report that shows traditional public schools in Albuquerque get about $7,400 per child, while charter schools get around $8,700. Lawmakers say it's partly because charter schools are allowed to use the state's small school funding formula. It's meant to help rural districts stay afloat. Another law allows charter schools to start new programs without having to get permission from the state legislature.
Move on to this morning. Your trips to the grocery store could change a little within the next few years. Congress passed a bill requiring most food packaging labels to disclose GMOs. This is now headed to President Obama's desk. He is expected to sign it. That means you'll soon be able to read the label to see if foods contain genetically modified ingredients. The Agriculture Department will have 2 years to write the rules on it.
On to news happening now. Dozens are dealing with a contagious bacterial disease. The State Department of Health says 36 people in Lee and Eddy counties have been infected. It causes fever, nausea, and stomach problems. Most of them are kids who go to daycare and their families. It's often spread through unwashed hands.
An Atlanta area police officer is recovering this morning after he was dragged by a car, and that whole thing was caught on dash cam video. This happened yesterday morning when the officer says he spotted Tyrone Marvell Chapman asleep at the wheel. Once the officer woke him up and asked for his name, Chapman took off. The officer says once he told Chapman that he was risking his life, the driver stopped the car saying he didn't want to kill him. This morning, he is facing numerous charges. The police officer's doing fine, though. He walked away with just a few scrapes from that scary ordeal.
Wow, terrifying video there. Okay, flour consumers, beware. If you deal with flour, there are some precautions to keep in mind. Uncooked flour always has the potential to give you an E. coli infection. So look out for anything with flour as the main ingredients, such as modeling clays or Play-Doh. Even some dessert recipes include flour, but they don't involve heating or baking, so think twice about those. Also, make sure you wash your hands in hot soapy water after you're done working with flour.
Something to keep in mind. I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
And I started to shout at him like, stop, stop, there is a lot of people killed already.
Terror takes over France again. New details overnight on the attack in Nice as the Prime Minister calls on the public for help in remembering those killed.
Plus, an overnight fire breaks out in Albuquerque. What fire officials say is the latest on the investigation.
And homes left destroyed, residents forced to evacuate. This as the wildfire in Tiburon continues to burn. This morning, we hear from evacuees. The latest on the destructive fire starts now. And this morning, more crews are pitching in to help overhaul its efforts to fight the wildfire burning in the village of Tiburon that's just south of Cloudcroft.
And this morning, that fire's still 0% contained. It's already burned through nearly 300 acres, forcing many people from their homes. News 13's Sarah Yingling has the very latest for us right now.
Adam, the Tiburon fire has already destroyed 60 structures just south of Cloudcroft. More than half of those structures damaged in the inferno are homes. Despite these circumstances, some evacuees are still trying to stay positive.
I'm glad we got out alive. I'm glad we got our fifth wheel. At least we have a place to live. If the house isn't there, we got our car. We have the main important things.
Carolyn Patty is just one of the many evacuees staying at a Red Cross shelter set up at the Cloudcroft High School gym. There's also an animal shelter set up at the Otero County Fairgrounds in Alamogordo. Yesterday, Governor Susana Martinez was given a tour of the fire area. During her press conference, Governor Martinez stressed the importance of getting out of danger, even if that means leaving your home behind.
Although there are people's homes, please leave when someone is knocking on your door.
As of right now, no injuries have been reported. Officials say a fire line consisting of a hand line and bulldozer line is holding up well. Crews will continue to work on this fire line, but there is still active fire within the perimeter as well as spot fires. Adam.
All right, Sarah, thanks again. We are staying on top of the latest from the Tiburon area. We'll keep you posted.
And in an attempt to stop more wildfires from sparking, Stage 1 restrictions take effect today. Extremely dry conditions have prompted fire restrictions in the Santa Fe National Forest. That means no campfires, charcoal grills, or wood stoves allowed outside developed campsites or picnic areas. Also, no smoking in non-designated areas. The Sandia and Mountaineer Ranger districts are under Stage 2 restrictions, which means no fires or open flames.
The important thing today is going to be how the weather affects the firefight. Kristen Curry is watching the very latest on that. Any good news in the forecast?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing better humidity today, cooler temperatures and less wind. So definitely on the firefighter side today. And you'll notice even this morning, humidity 36, so not perfect, but our temperatures in the 70s and winds less than 10. And that's going to be key here, looking at winds about 5 to 15, but lighter than what we dealt with yesterday in that area. Not looking at any storms to speak of just yet. We do have a little bit more activity further off to the east out there in far eastern Debaca County, moving into Roosevelt County, and even far northern Lee County. This is fading out on us, though. We have better rain chances in the forecast as we pass the noon hour today. Our temperature 60s up in Taos and Santa Fe, 59 in Las Vegas. Good morning, TRC, 76. As you're walking out the door, you'll find 40s, though, across southern Colorado. Hot afternoon temperatures, and this will be a statewide trend. But spotty storms have our attention this afternoon, as some of these storms could turn strong to severe. So I'll break down today's storm threat as well as your full weekend forecast. That's coming up here in about 15 minutes.
All right, thanks, Kristen. We will be staying on top of the latest as promised from Tiburon. We'll continue to bring you updates both on air and online. You can also check out the KRQE News app throughout the day. Time now, 6:34, happening right now. French authorities are investigating what led up to Thursday's apparent terror attack in the resort town of Nice in France. This is a live look right now at that very truck at the center of the investigation, which authorities are continuing this morning. Here's what we know. More than 80 people are dead, including a man from Texas and his son, when the driver of a truck, that one that you saw there, plowed through a crowd gathered for Bastille Day celebrations. The driver was killed by police. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the incident. The French president, though, has extended a state of emergency and plans to mobilize troops to bolster security. President Obama condemned that attack early this morning.
On to some breaking overnight news. Firefighters are investigating the cause of a fire that damaged 2 homes in northeast Albuquerque. Take a look at the video here. Firefighters were called to the corner of Irene and Brett near Eubank just after midnight. When they got there, both houses were on fire. It's not clear at this time if anyone was hurt or if any families were displaced. The fire is under control. The investigation into what caused the fire still continuing this morning.
Developing this early hour as the Metropolitan Detention Center continues its search for another director this morning. A candidate recently offered the job is speaking out about why he backed out.
On July 8th at 4:30 my time, Julie Baca called me and she actually rescinded my offer, and her story is that they could not verify my dates of employment.
Michael Watkins claims last Friday he was blindsided when the county manager told him he no longer had the job 3 days before he was supposed to move. The county manager says he withdrew, but she admits that she didn't have a choice, saying Watkins' background check wasn't adding up.
We can't trace back employment. We can't make contact with past supervisors.
And that's when she tells us she immediately called him, rescinded the offer, but gave him the chance to withdraw out of respect, which she says he took her up on. Watkins tells us he worked for the federal government for more than 20 years and verifying his employment should be easy. Confidential sources told News 13 shared posts on Watkins' Facebook page about the president were also of concern. While Watkins says there is freedom of speech, he says he probably should have kept his political posts to himself.
On to news new at 6. A union representing educators in New Mexico has made changes to a new online petition over teacher evaluations. According to the Albuquerque Journal, the state changed how it classifies teachers to just the length of their careers instead of multiple factors, but it still uses student test scores as a way to evaluate their effectiveness. The American Federation of Teachers New Mexico changed the petition to call more attention to those changes, which it calls superficial. 2,000 people have signed their petition in the last 6 weeks.
Happening today, more construction is set to begin tonight along the Big I in Albuquerque. Starting tonight at 9, construction workers say there'll be several closures in the area, including the on-ramp onto westbound I-40. There will also be lane closures along University. Crews plan to spend the weekend applying an epoxy overlay onto the bridge. These closures and more will be in effect until 5 a.m. Monday morning. If you'd like to get a full list of what will be shut down and what won't, head to our website, krqe.com. We're just 3 days away now from the start of the Republican National Convention, and Donald Trump still has not officially announced his running mate.
However, a GOP source says Trump will move forward with Indiana Governor Mike Pence as his running mate. Meanwhile, Republicans hoping to block Trump's nomination took a major blow last night. A GOP committee defeated an effort to, quote, unbind delegates at next week's convention, which will make it harder to stop his official nomination. A sign in Cleveland getting a lot of attention this morning because it features a drawing of GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump getting really friendly with former rival Ted Cruz. A nonprofit called Planting Peace put up the billboard. The sign includes the words "Love Trump's hate" and, quote, "and homophobia." It shows the two Republicans getting ready for a kiss. Cleveland is hosting the Republican National Convention. Again, that starts on Monday.
Also happening today, the Albuquerque Police Department is holding a fundraiser to support the families of the 5 fallen officers in Dallas. Frito pies will be served from 11 to 3 at the APD Training Academy near 2nd and Montano. There's no cost, but donations will be accepted. The fundraiser will also benefit APD 911 call taker Nancy Anaya, who's fighting terminal cancer.